Hi, everyone. Oh, we today, of every color, creed, and belief, are gathered here in a demonstration of the human condition. Today, you might feel scared, and I know what it feels like to feel scared. My name is Nguyen, and after my rape, I felt despair, but I also felt fire. And so, when I met a broken criminal justice system, like so many rape survivors do, when they find out that they have to pay for their rape kits, or that their evidence that has been collected from their bodies could be destroyed before even tested, I decided I had a choice. I could accept the injustice or rewrite the law, and one of these things is a lot better than the other. So I rewrote it. Along with a team called Rise, we put our heads together and we organized. When we first started, we were 20-somethings, women, people of color, and rightfully so, a lot of people told us, hey, the odds are really stacked against you. But here's the thing. If that bill could speak, it would sing, it would scream, it would light itself on fire. It is the closest form of justice that so many of us have. This is what I did with my fire. What will you do with yours? The bill ended up, despite its odds, passing unanimously through the United States Congress. It was the 21st bill in modern US history to do so, and the statistic for that is 0.016%. But what's more exciting is that when President Obama signed it, we heard from over 1 million people from around the world and all across the United States that said, hey, this is happening to me too. But more importantly, you look like me. And if you could do it, maybe I can do it too. And that's what democracy means to us. And so what we set out to do was gamify the process of passing a law. And we realized that there is actually a way for us to pen our own civil rights into existence. We call this curriculum Hopeonomics. And I'm so proud to say that for the past 5 years, we've now passed a total of 27 laws for 72 million people. Last year, a really special group of people reached out. They said, hey, we see you, and you've been able to pass these laws unanimously. Can you help us too? And they were the survivors, the friends, and the family of the Parkland shooting. They said, if you're able to take this issue and teach it to everyday people, we want in. And so what we did was we transformed Hopeonomics into a curriculum. And we learned from people here in Silicon Valley by looking at how entrepreneurs use innovative ways, how this ecosystem celebrates entrepreneurs. And we think activists should be celebrated too. So we looked at Y Combinator. We looked at accelerators. When a tech entrepreneur has a good idea, based on the merit of his or her idea, they can apply. If they get accepted, they get seed funding. They get mentorship. Basically, they get the opportunity cost of their startup covered. And that doesn't exist for civil rights activists until now. So what we did was, under the radar, we set up Rise Justice Labs, America's first civil rights accelerator. Because it's the people who live the problem every day that have the solutions to the world's most pressing problems. And there's a market gap between those people and the people who actually have the pen And that's because there's a profit model in Washington, especially, where for a premium, you can pay lobbyists, and they'll connect you to senators, and maybe things will work out. But if democracy is for the highest bidder, is it democracy after all? So what we did is we give money to activists. We cover their opportunity cost, and we put them through the Hopenomics curriculum with mentors, organizers who are just like them, who passed their own law too. Basically, we want to create the next generation of folks, because success to us isn't that we know all the knowledge, it's that other people can do it better than us. Now, a lot of people ask me, why, how did you take on Congress? It actually comes from a very personal place. My mother was a boat refugee from Vietnam, and she often tells me that she went into death to seek life. She tried twice. The first time, she paid human traffickers to help her get out. They took all her money and left. She was actually very lucky because that boat was all killed by the Viet Cong. After that, she tried again, and this time she made it. And when people ask me then, well, where did you get this courage? Really, if my mother went into death to seek life, to make it here so that we could have rights, then it is my obligation, it is my duty as both an American citizen and as a good daughter to exercise those constitutional rights. The thing is that I feel like we've been gaslighted to forget our power, and it is our right to talk to these people because they are public servants. They serve the will of the people. Now, it hasn't always been this easy. I remember the first time that I tried talking to politicians. It was 6 hours of people not caring. And I remember one politician even told me up front, well, this is not going to help my campaign. And I was like, thanks for your honesty. Well, you know, I went home and I cried. It was really rough. And I remember being like, I just need one person to tell me that they love me. And the next morning, I'm a pathological optimist. It's required for activism. I got up and I did the same thing. And this time, I headed to the United States Senate, where in my Uber ride, I met this man who was kind of stoic, intimidating, didn't want to talk to me. But at the end of the ride, he saw that I was going to the Senate, and he asked me why, and I told him. And this once intimidating stranger started tearing up, just crying, tears welling out. And he said, my daughter is also a rape survivor, and when she went to the police, she was also asked, what were you wearing? Were you drinking? And she went through a lot of the things that you went through. And when he stopped the car, he said, can I shake your hand? Thank you so much for fighting for my daughter. Has anyone told you that they love you today? I love you. And I'll never forget that, Dad. This is our story. It's a collective story of progress. And what it teaches me is that no one is powerless when we come together, and no one is invisible when we demand to be seen. Actually, my background's in astrophysics. I want to be an astronaut. You also need to be a pathological optimist for that. Literally, we're guinea pigs for engineers. But my background in astrophysics really helps inform the work, the activism. It's this effect that is called the overview effect. It's when astronauts go to space for the first time. Many of them see this pale blue dot. Every living being that's ever lived or died on this spaceship Earth. It's an existential crisis, but it's also perspective. And when many of them return to Earth, they are propelled, compelled to make a difference. What they describe is that you can't see man-made borders in space, but what you can see is environmental destruction. What you also come to understand is, why are we all fighting when, in fact, we all share this incredibly sacred space together? And so, every day, I wake up And the burning question that I have is, what is my place in the universe? And what am I going to do about it? I think both astrophysics and activism answers those questions. And that's the question I leave with you today. Thank you.